Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from a mile high altitude of 5,280 feet to sea level today with our special guest, Hugh Liddle, out in Sebring, Florida. And I'm really grateful for the Mile High audience to get to hear from Hugh Liddle on this particular episode. I know you will enjoy it, as I also know you will really enjoy being back at Higher Ground in September of 2023. And I'm sure you've marked your calendar for that date, September 21st to 24th. You can get all the details at riseuptomilehigh.com. Hugh Liddle is a near and dear friend. I know people say that on podcasts and recordings and things all the time, but this is really true. He really is a near and dear friend. We've worked with him for, I want to say, 15-ish years. I have to look exactly the number of years, but he has helped us with so many things in up-leveling our practice to new heights continuously. He is the Chiropractic Sales Wizard at Red Cap Sales Coaching, and he helps people learn to make selling fun and easy and profitable and kind of take the fear out of selling. In fact, he has a book called Taking the Icky and Scary Out of Sales, which I highly recommend you get for yourself and your team. But he really helps chiropractors, especially, as particularly dramatically increase their conversions and sales and really make it having fun to convert people into care and open that relationship. So thank you for joining us today, Hugh Liddle.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, and I know people are going to love this episode. I hope they share it with lots of people and listen to it over and over again, because it will help them get a lot of up-leveling in their communication. First, I'd like to have people get to know you. How did you find your way to chiropractic as something that you were involved with, either even personally?
Oh, there was some guy about 15 years or so ago that called me up and we did some sales coaching together, and it went pretty well, and we've been doing it ever since.
Is that basically it?
I've been a chiropractic fan and a chiropractic patient for quite a long time, way before I met you, and especially the kind of practice that you run, I think is absolutely phenomenal. And working with chiropractors is my favorite thing in the world, because what you folks do for the world is incredibly great. And I just love you to pieces for doing that. And chiropractors are good people. I mean, they're just a lot of fun, most of them.
And here's the thing. You said something very important there about the type of chiropractic and the chiropractic that we do. I know that you are very into people getting the full gain out of their chiropractic care. And you like seeing people be able to progress in their care, as compared to being one and done, short-term Band-Aid type care. Is that true? That's something that's important for you when you're helping people sell?
It absolutely is. And I think that there are certainly various chiropractic processes, and all of them have their value. And I don't want to denigrate any of them, as long as they are designed to provide long-term health, optimal health, rather than just being a quick fix temporarily. And
Right.
So helping people feel good and function well and do the things they want to be able to do and probably live longer, that's great stuff. And so whatever kind of chiropractic you practice, if that's your goal and your intention and working with your practice members, man, that's awesome.
Right. And that's actually the goal of lifetime wellness practice. Is the goal of Mile High, for people to get the furthest outreaching goals, outcomes they can with their chiropractic care. And I think most of the Mile High attendees and listeners, that, whatever type of approach they do, because there's probably about as many approaches as there are chiropractors in the world. But really, the outcome of how do people become wellness oriented, lifetime wellness oriented, come in here to help my life enhance care. So now when you're helping people that are service oriented and want the best for people, what do you see as the main key to that communication, to that selling communication conversation?
Well, first of all, I think that selling over the years has changed dramatically.
Mm.
And now it's not about trying to get people to do what you want them to do, or manipulate them, or influence them, or even trying to get them to do what you think they should do or know they should do. I mean, everybody knows that people need chiropractic. Everyone, or at least all of us around chiropractic know that. And it's not really a matter of what people need. It's a matter of what people want, because we buy what we want instead of what we need. All you have to do is go in my garage and take a look around, and you will see that is true. We've bought a lot of stuff that we didn't need, but we wanted it at the moment, and now we didn't even use it, so it's sitting in a box in the garage. So everybody buys what they want to buy. So part of the sales process is to find out what people want and then provide that for them. As far as selling today, I think that it really is a process of communication rather than presentation. Back in the day, and I've been selling for over 52 years, so I've seen sales kind of change through the years. And it used to be that you had to do a presentation. You had to show people charts and graphs, and you had to tell them all about yourself and all about what you do and all about how you do it, because they didn't have a clue. Now buyers are so sophisticated because of the internet. They've probably checked you out on social media, and they've Googled you, and they've looked at your reviews, and they've found out whether there's any negative stuff there, and they've read about what you do and how you do it online. So what you're really trying to do in the sales process is communicate with people and find out what they want, and then let them know what's in it for them when they receive care at your office. And that's a different approach to selling. It's communication, and there are a lot of things that go into that communication process.
That's very important, and that's very astute of you to notice that discernment of that changing over the years. A lot of times people are using processes from the 1970s, and it doesn't equate to today's audience, especially with something as valuable as their health. And people are a more educated consumer than they were in before relative to health, and actually very much more very much engaged in the process differently than they used to be. So and what do you consider the most important sales skill that people need to develop? Not just and people. I think people have to be reminded that chiropractic assistants, as we call chiropractic paraprofessionals, that they're salespeople. I mean, we all are salespeople, and I know you do a great job helping our team. So what do you think is the important skills that not only the doctor, but also the team need to develop?
Well, I think the most important one, and this is going to surprise some of y'all listening to the call, because how many times have you heard people say, oh, that guy has the gift of gab, man, he could sell ice boxes to Eskimos. He should be in sales. He's such a good talker. That's not the most important skill. The most important skill is listening with your ears and your mind and your heart to what your prospective practice member is saying, and responding to that appropriately. That's the most important skill.
And do you think there's a lot of people that could grow in that area?
Everybody can. Even the old sales wizard could get better at it than he is.
Yeah, yeah. And it's something that we all not necessarily don't we think we're listening, but don't necessarily do.
That's
What
true.
what are some ways we can grow in that listening?
Focus.
Ah,
Focus is really super important. And before you go into a sales conversation, you have to dial your focus in
mhm,
because you are not important at all in the sales conversation, uh, as far as what you think, what you believe, what all of those things take second place to your prospect and what they think and how they feel and what their situation is, what their challenges are, what they would like more of in their life and they don't have, and they do almost anything to get it. What is it that there's in their life that they don't want there anymore, and they do almost anything to get rid of it.
mhm,
And so before you go into the sales conversation, if you put your focus on them rather than on you, that will help you a lot in the listening process. I think that too many salespeople go into sales conversations and they're thinking about, um, boy, I won't get my bonus if I don't get some sales pretty soon. Or, boy, I know we really need to get some more money into the practice. Or, um, man, my wife sometimes the stuff she says to me, like she said to me just before, I don't see how she could say that because we just had a disagreement. Or there's a stack of bills on my desk and I'm really worried. How am I going to take care of those? Or even, after work today, I'm going to go down to the pub and raise a few glasses with my friends down there, or I'm going someplace for the weekend. If your focus is any place other than on helping the person sitting across from you, it's in the wrong place.
mm,
So if your focus going into the conversation is, I'm going to do everything I can to help this person do what they want to do, and it's about them, and I'm not even going to be attached to outcome. I'm just going to go in, I'm going to do the process.
mhm,
That's going to help you listen more than uh, if you're not focused.
mhm, mhm. And I don't know if you noticed this, but the world in general has had some challenges with focus.
You think?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Technology has fostered that, where people are constantly distracted, and people will know if you're focused on them or if you're distracted.
But Danny, here's another thing that can really help with the process of listening. And having said that, um, listening is more important than talking, knowing what you're going to say before you go into the conversation, being scripted so that you don't have to think about what you're going to say next because it's automatic.
Hmm.
Then you can really listen to what your prospect is saying with your ears and your mind and your heart. And you'll always respond appropriately because your responses are scripted. They're a natural, normal part of your conversation because you've done it so many times and you've practiced and you've rehearsed and you've role played. And that can really help with the focus and with the listening because you're not thinking while they're talking, you're not thinking about, okay, what am I going to say next?
Right,
Or how
right.
am I going to answer what they're saying? Oh, they're giving me an objection. What am I going to say?
So
It's
you're saying scripting is actually important.
it's incredibly important.
It's funny. One of the things I so often hear in my talks, discussions with chiropractic students or chiropractic associates or potential associates, people are interviewing, is how do you say a script and make it sound like not a script? How can it sound natural? In fact, the people that don't want to use scripts tend to say that the most, that they feel like, well, I don't want to be just, I don't think I'll sound like me. How do you help people get over that and value that?
They have to want to,
Hmm.
because if they want to be really good at selling, having a good script is key. And what a lot of people don't realize is that if they've been selling something for more than a couple of weeks, they already have a script.
Ah.
They're already saying the same stuff to everybody they talk to. It's not a matter of whether they have a script, it's a matter of how good the script is.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
True.
how successful are they being in converting people to care
Mm-hmm.
with the script that they're using?
Right. And then they also have to put their being and their personality and their heart into it while they're going through that, sharing the dialogue and making a dialogue, not just a monologue.
Exactly.
Right. Right. So how do you see the communications process? How do people make the communications process successful in sales?
Well, there's actually three factors that are involved in that. And the first one may surprise some of y'all who are listening to the call. Probably the most important communication, the most important conversation that you can have is the one that you have with yourself.
Hmm.
Because how many times do people think to themselves, well, I'm not really that good at sales, or I don't like to sell, or, what if they say no, or, some other negative thing. And when that sort of feedback, that sort of conversation, communication that we have with ourselves, when that's fed into the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind doesn't know whether anything is true or false, right or wrong, good or bad. You're making judgments about some of the things that you're saying to yourself, and they may be reflections of things that you've heard from people whom you value in the past, your parents, your teachers, whoever. Somebody that you really admire might have said to you, well, I don't see how anybody could do selling, because
Right.
that's just people trying to get other people's money. It's really sleazy. It's a horrible thing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if that's been fed into your subconscious already, and you're continuing to feed that into your subconscious doesn't know whether that's right or wrong. Your subconscious just acts in accordance to what you've put in there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you're lousy at sales, guess what? You're lousy at sales. If you think that you're coming across as being a sleazeball, salesman, guess what? You'll come across as a sleazeball salesman. And so the things that you tell yourself, the things that you feed into your mind each and every day, the things that you really believe, whether they're right or whether they're wrong, your subconscious is going to act on. So making an effort to put positive things into your subconscious, say
Mm-hmm.
positive things to yourself. In fact, unfortunately, there are some people who say things to themselves that they'd probably punch somebody in the mouth for if it was somebody else saying it to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm really
True.
ugly.
So true.
Boy, I'm really ugly. Boy, I'm really dumb.
Or
Boy, I'm
they
really,
never talk to that person again.
yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And so we're constantly talking to ourselves, and we can make a conscious decision to say good things to ourselves. So that's the first step in communication. The second thing is the way that we talk to other people, the way that we communicate with them.
Mm-hmm.
And communication is way more than just talking. Talking's a part of it. It's just really a relatively small part of it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be aware of what's going on with your facial expression, your body language. You have to be careful of your tonality and your voice inflection. So there's a real learning curve there. Let's say that you're having a sales conversation and your prospect says something that you don't necessarily agree with, or they bring up an objection, and you roll your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You just lost a sale and you didn't say a word.
Right.
So you have to be careful of your facial expression. Eye contact is really super important. If you're talking with somebody about, let's say you're talking with them about what they need to invest in order to have hair in your office, and you're doing it by saying, okay, well, the first option is, and option number 2 is, and the third option is, nobody's going to think that that's really a good investment to make. Not because it's not a good investment, simply because you didn't keep eye contact. You didn't look them in the eye and really talk to them. So body language, if your body language is head down, you kind of look like Eeyore. I don't think it's going to be a very good day today. You don't even have to say it. You can just say it with your body language. Crossed arms. That means I don't like what you're saying, and I'm really not listening to you, and I'm not changing. I'll do what I want. Crossed legs or crossed arms, either one. Somebody who does something like this, there's something that they actually might want to say and they're not saying it.
Right.
Not being forthcoming. So you need to be very careful of your body language, of your facial expression, of the voice inflection and tonality that you're using. And you mentioned a minute ago about making your script a natural, normal part of the way that you talk. And voice inflection and tonality are certainly included in that. With one word, I can say the same thing and I can make it mean 2 completely different things. If Danny just said something that I agree with 100%, I think he is so right, he's so brilliant. Man, that's just the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I respond to it by saying the word right. I would say, right. If Danny just said something that I think is the stupidest thing I've ever heard anybody say, and I don't agree with him, and I never will till the day I die, and I just think he's dumb, and I respond with the word right, I'd say, right. Same word, totally different meaning to the 2 words. So in addition to tonality, which is rising inflection or drop tonality, or the way that you emphasize the words that you say, those are tremendously important, and those are only part of the communication process as far as voice is concerned. Because the energy that you put into what you're saying and the volume that you use can either be really appropriate or totally inappropriate. I was working with somebody that one of my clients had working for them, and I was doing some sales training with her, and we were doing her verbal agreement, and she was doing her verbal agreement like a radio announcer doing an ad for the local car dealer. What I'd like to do today so that you and I can determine whether receiving care in our office is a good fit or not is. And that's kind of the energy that she brought to it. Way, way over the top. To to have passion and enthusiasm and excitement, you can almost talk in a whisper.
Mm.
Think about how you talk to your significant other. Honey, I love you so much. You're just the most important thing in my life. I mean, that's just got emotion in it. And yet it's not, you're not yelling, you're not over the top, and it doesn't sound like something that you memorized.
Right.
And I think one of the real keys to communication is that when you're using your script and you're having that conversation, you better mean every single word that you're saying.
Right.
It's not enough to just say some stuff.
Right.
You got to mean it from the bottom of your heart. And if you don't, the energy that you put out will tell your prospective practice member, hey, this guy or this woman isn't being real. I'm not going to buy from them.
I want to ask you a deeper question about this, but before I do that, it certainly sounds like there's a lot that people can learn and grow in the area of sales and communications, for sure. And if people want to, how do you help people do that?
Well, the first step in the process really is just to have a conversation and find out whether the coaching that I do is going to be a good fit or not. My coaching is a good fit for some people, is not a good fit for other people. And part of that's personality, part of it is just the willingness of people to be coached. Some of it is just there's just a difference of opinion about how things should be done. So it's not for everybody. So a good first step is just to have a free conversation and talk about your practice, talk about your sales, talk about what you want to accomplish, and get a few tips and strategies and ideas, and find out whether coaching with me is a good fit or not. And then if you decide to become a client, you'll get scripts, you'll have weekly coaching sessions. You'll have some writing done on your social media and your website to make those more sales friendly. So that's how it works.
Well, and how can people do that first call with you?
They can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/wizard-strategy.
-wizard. I love that. Well, we will put that link in here with it. So if people driving, they don't have to write it down and cause any subluxations, but we'll make sure it's there for them.
Yeah. And the other thing that they could do is just go to redcapsalescoaching.com. And on every page, there's a link that goes straight to the calendar. And all they have to do is schedule the time.
So we talked about body language and facial expressions. We talked about emotion. And even that last thing you shared about how making sure that you're all in agreement with what it is that you're sharing, because people will sense it if you're not. Why do you think people hesitate around what to say and do when what they need to do, and why is there hesitation in the process, or why do they hold back?
There's a rather famous statement that, I guess it was done from surveys or whatever, that the greatest fear that people have isn't dying, it's public speaking. And I'm not quite sure why people feel that way, because I don't have a challenge with it for some reason. I never have had. There is another fear, though, that I think ranks up right up there with death and public speaking. And that is the fear of what other people will think if I say something or if I do something that I really need to say or do in the sales process. And probably the best example of that, and in working with your teams over the years, this is almost always where a new chiropractic assistant or chiropractic professional starts when they start with their sales coaching. Well, I'm just so uncomfortable if somebody says that they want to go home and think about it. I feel like if I keep asking questions and I keep the conversation going, that I'm just being rude, and they're going to be mad, and they're going to just think that I'm horrible, and they're going to yell at me, and they're going to do all these kinds of things, and they have to work on actually making the effort to say what needs to be said and to do the scripting the way that it's written, and then they figure it out. And some of the people who have become the best salespeople that I've coached, and I'll give you an example. I know that she wouldn't mind one bit. Julie Jones is one of the best chiropractic salespeople in the entire world. She is just flat awesome. And when she started out, she just had that hesitation. She just found it very, very hard to say the things that she needed to say. And with some practice and some role play, and then doing it for real in front of prospective practice members, she just got to be an expert at it. She's awesome at it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, she is. I agree. And that's why you're going to see her and you and others at the beach retreat.
That's right. That's right. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
And since I've said so many good things about Florida wintertime weather and how nice and sunny and warm it is, it better not be freezing cold when y'all get
here. I hope so too. I'm sure it'll be beautiful. Now with that, I want to ask you one last thing. And yes, our Lifetime Wellness Practice Beach Retreat that you're going to be sharing at is sold out. We also will be having a very special class, so we're going to be talking about soon. It's people will see it all over around the time that this podcast is listened to, which is a path to $100,000 a month practice, which you're going to also be part of. So with that, if you're going to get to a $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $75,000 a month, $1 million practice, which is $83,333, or a $100,000 practice, somewhere along the way there has to be a sale to have any of those things happen. There has to be a transaction. There has to be a sale. And I'll tell you, if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times, which is that I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to do sales. How do people, well, first of all, where does that come from, and how do people get over that? Do they need to get over that?
Yeah, again, it's what's been put into their subconscious mind by other people or by themselves along the way. And a lot of times it comes from having an unpleasant sales experience with somebody who didn't do it well. Somebody who was an arm twister and shamed or argued or tried to get them to do something they didn't want to do. And I would never want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. So I would never want to sell anything. And I think for health professionals in particular, there's such a focus on service and helping other people, and they don't see selling as helping. And
right.
Selling is helping. It's helping people do what they want to do. It's helping people get a result that they want to have. So if you change your mindset about what selling really is, and that it's not trying to manipulate or influence or somehow get people to do something that they don't really want to do. It's not about getting people's money away from them. It really is about helping people do what those people want to do.
Right.
Then that fearfulness goes away. And the fact of the matter is that there's only one way that I know of, and I've been in business for 52 years. There's only one way that I know of to create revenue in a business, and that's sales. And you can be the smartest, most accomplished chiropractor in God's green earth, And if you don't have any practice members to work with, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
And
Right.
the more people you can help, the better it is. And the larger you can grow your practice, the more people you can serve, the more people you can employ. You're doing great things for everybody. And the whole source of that is sales, because
Yep.
this is the revenue to do all of it.
Yep. Yeah. And that's important. And it doesn't have to be icky, it's scary, it can be fun and easy. So in fact, I think there might be a book about that.
I think there might. And I would also say about the call with me that we were talking about a few minutes ago. I know what a bunch of you are thinking out there. You're thinking, oh, he's the sales guy, if I talk to him, he's going to be twisting my arm and trying to get me to do. And I practice what I preach. When you talk with me, there's no obligation whatsoever to do anything at all. There's no pressure. It's free. There's absolutely no way that you can lose. And we'll still be friends at the end of it, whether you decide to coach with me or whether you don't. I'm perfectly okay either way we go. So don't be scared. It really is okay. I'm just
And I
I'm a
cannot
little
recommend
bit
enough. My life has, and my practice, and my life, and my team's lives, but have all up leveled from the skills, the strategies, the tools, the confidence that you helped us all with. So we are very grateful for that. And I know that all of the things that we're involved with, from my office to Lifetime Wellness Practice to this Mile High podcast, would not have the reach that they do, or Mile High itself, if it wasn't the things that you've helped us overcome and learn. So I certainly hope people are excited about that for themselves. So, Hugh, is there any last thing you'd like to share around sales with people in this particular episode?
I think what I'd like to share with you is that no matter who you are, no matter what you know right now, you do have the ability to become a sales wizard yourself.
Mm.
You get really, really good at it. And so many people over the years in Danny's office have gotten better at it. People in Matthew Mancuso's office are awesome at it. Just a ton of chiropractic offices have been able to up level, and their people have been able to learn, even though when they first started out, they weren't good at it. If you hire people who are coachable and who are willing to implement what they learn,
Mm-hmm.
you can have a team of absolutely incredible salespeople, and everybody in your office needs to be an incredible salesperson. Because it's not just sales conversations. Every conversation that you have in your life is pretty much a sales conversation of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking with your if you're talking with your wife about what you need to do today and she has some plans for dinner, there's some sales going on in that conversation. If you're talking with one of your kids about how important it is to get good grades in school, there's a sales conversation that's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're asking your boss for a raise, there's a sales conversation that's going on there. Even if you're just talking to a friend of yours and offering them the opportunity to go see a good movie with you, there's some sales going on there.
Yep.
So don't think that you're not a salesperson, because you are. You have been from the time you popped out of mama's stomach. You've been selling, because you're giving people what they want when you're selling. Your parents wanted more than anything to take care of that little creature that they created and make sure that that little baby had everything that he or she wanted and needed, and was healthy and safe and warm and well fed.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave your parents the opportunity to do that because you screamed and yelled every time you were wet or hungry or just needed some comfort. You've been selling for your entire life and you didn't even know you were doing it. So
Absolutely.
So it's not a matter of whether you sell or not, it's a matter of how good you are at it. And
Mhm.
you can get good at it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, again, Hugh, thank you for helping us all get better at that, and really not for our growth, but really for that fact that impacts people by let them living healthier lives. So I certainly hope people continue on a path, or get out, if they're not already, up level their path towards increasing selling, because the world's counting on them to increase their skill sets around that area, so that they can actually do their skill set of what they do with their hands, taking care of people. So thank you for really the gifts that you give to the chiropractic profession, and more importantly to the public, by them receiving care.
Well, and I would like to say, as we get ready to sign off here, and I'm not just saying this because Danny's my friend either. Listen, one of the things that Danny and Rochelle do for their clients outside of chiropractic care, working with chiropractors and mentoring chiropractors and teaching them to build the kinds of practices that Danny and Rochelle have built over the last 20 years. The offices that I work with that are mentoring with Danny and Rochelle have the whole picture. And when you put those two things together, the sales aspect of it and the things that Danny and Rochelle teach about marketing and about systems and about office procedures and about team building and about all of those things, it's the complete deal. And that will get you to $100,000 a month and more faster than anything I can possibly think of.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and it's true. Those things, you put all that together, and just like chiropractic care, it's a process to grow. It's not there's no magic genie, and you have to do the work for sure. And I know you're a big that's one of the things that you say too. So again, super great. Thank you for saying the kind words, and thank you for all you've done to help our team grow. A lot of them have said that the time that they spend talking to you is their best favorite part of the job. I thought I was the favorite part of the job, but oh wow.
I'm magically delicious.
I'm okay with letting that go. And again, I encourage people to check out Hugh Liddle's Red Cap Sales Coaching. So thank you everyone for listening to the Mile High podcast. Make sure you rise up to milehigh.com, rise up to Mile High altitude in September next year, and we keep changing spines and lives and minds with this incredible thing we call chiropractic.